Metal Jesus, and I'm back again with the immortal John Hancock.
A pie.
Oh, yeah! What you got for me, buddy?
A lot.
That's what I'm afraid of. No, this episode's going to be about the Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
Keep it focused, buddy.
Okay.
Keep it focused. Eyes on the prize.
Well, I have 8 hidden gems I'd love to showcase, and I think a couple people will be surprised in the ones I picked.
You know, so far in parts 1 and 2, they've been awesome. So cool. I want to steal. Well, I want to steal all of them.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's do it. First up,
Q*bert.
3.
Oh, okay.
3. And this is an enhancement of the original arcade game. Fantastic graphics. It's just a little bit more of everything. More enemies, the different puzzles. A lot of people, I didn't even know. I saw this at a yard sale. And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed.
You know, where was Q*bert 2? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know Q*bert 3 is awesome, and that's why I recommend it.
You know what? I suck at Q*bert. It's one of my great failings in life. It's one of the classic arcade games. I'm terrible at it. I don't know what it is. So I'd love to try this to see if I'm any better. I don't know.
And the other advice I give people is
At first I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Sorry. I like myself some brawlers. This is Peacekeepers, and it just, you know, Super Nintendo is known for like the final fights or the Knights of the Round, but this was a trilogy and it was kind of obscure, and this is, I do believe, the 3rd installment of the trilogy. And they had weird names, but anyways, the Peacekeepers I think is the 3rd one of the trilogy on Super Nintendo. Great game. It plays a little bit like Streets of Rage.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Cool.
Fun, and good graphics. 2-player action.
Never heard of that before.
Yep. Good
Awesome.
stuff. This up is, I do believe this was either an Amiga port or there was a game like it on Amiga.
Firepower
2000. And this is a shooter, an overhead shooter, and it had a hidden feature in which you could play 2 players.
Hidden?
Yeah, the menu screen's like jacked up. You have to like do a button tap or something, or something weird to initiate the 2-player action in it. But it's good stuff.
Wow, okay. Stuff blows up real good?
Yeah, blow up stuff, and what's cool is each player has a different vehicle. One's a ship, one's a plane, and one's a jeep, or like a tank.
Wow.
On the ground. Yeah, it's really cool.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay. And another one I had not heard of.
All right. This one plays a little bit like Valis, the Valis series, which was on both Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and TurboGrafx. This is Kendo Rage. And it's an anime-style action platformer in which you play a young female and goes around, you know, hacking and slashing stuff. And it's decent. It's very obscure. Like I said, you just don't. I don't think of this game when I think of collecting Super Nintendo.
Where did you find that?
I think at a flea mart. Like I said, I've had this game at least 10 years in my collection.
So you bought it from the one person who bought it?
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, one of the 10 people that bought this when this came out.
Awesome.
So,
okay.
Yeah, good stuff. Probably one of my favorite, more uncommon platformers on the system is Wolfchild.
Now that sounds like a bad, I don't know, like 70s or 80s movie, like in a horror film. Is it a horror game?
No, well, you know, like I said, you can morph into a wolf.
Okay.
And you have powers and stuff, but it's a very, very solid platformer. Decent graphics. The Super Nintendo version, this was on multiple systems. The Super Nintendo one had the best graphics, and that's why I choose it. And like I said, it came out, and it was kind of came and gone really fast, and it was, you know, reviewed in magazines back in the day, so it wasn't completely obscure. But not a lot of people bought it, and it just kind of went away, and not a lot of people talk about it.
Another one I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah. Great hidden gem.
However, this one is an RPG that I have heard of. I actually do own this game. It's Shadowrun.
Yep.
And it's a cyberpunk role-playing game. It actually takes place in Seattle. Yep. And it came from pen and paper, you know, like pen and paper D&D games. But the thing is that I never know if I should start playing the Genesis version or the Super Nintendo version. They're completely different.
They're completely different. The Sega Genesis one probably gets a nod of being the better of the two, but the Super Nintendo one's great, and it's completely different. It's a completely different game. They're completely different game style. This one's more of a traditional isometric RPG.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, this version often gets overlooked because everybody says, "Oh, I'll play the Genesis one," but a lot of people forget that this is a very comparable RPG and recommend it.
Yeah, I need to start playing that because I've heard good things.
Yeah, it is. It's a great game. Yet another brawler. And this is funny, this is kind of in here because it's like, what the heck is that? Well, Captain Commando was the unofficial mascot of Capcom when they first started. And way later on, they made a game, and this is the game, and it plays a lot like Final Fight. And
you love your brawlers.
I love my brawlers, and I love my obscure brawlers because there's a lot out there. Because I think sometimes Super Nintendo gets labeled as like the kiddie system, and I wanted to showcase. Well, actually, there's a ton of great mature games that are fun to play, and like this is one of them. Captain Commando. It's like, who started that?
Now, did Captain Commando? Was he in anything else?
I think he made some cameos in several other games by Capcom, but this is the only game I do believe that he is like the star.
Okay.
So yes,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And now this one I believe is a shooter, right?
Yes, shooter.
Biometal.
Metal. Yeah, I had to do it. So Biometal is again, I think games like Gradius, it's kind of and R-Type and those type of games stole the limelight of the very niche shooter market. And games like Biometal came out, and they were great. But like I said, sales or advertisement must have been pretty obscure because this game is very, very, very hard to find in the wild. Now you can go online and it's fairly inexpensive, but I've only came across 1 or 2 copies of this in a while.
So shooter fans will love it.
Yeah, not too expensive, but again, in person I've only came across a couple where I live. Might be different where you're at, but like I said, good stuff. Fun game.
Cool. All right, John, well, thanks for showing us another list of awesome hidden gems on the Super Nintendo.
You're very welcome.
But, you know, walking around in your room of doom, you've got so much interesting stuff, including some really wacky Super Nintendo controllers.
I like collecting accessories, and the weirder it is, I'm just attracted to that stuff.
So I'm gonna start with this one that I pulled off the shelf here. It's a stealth. What the hell is this?
That's Desert Storm meets the Super Nintendo. Yeah, that's what it is.
It does look like the stealth bomber, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's kind of I think what they're going for. About the same time as you know, the Gulf War thing.
Right.
And so, like I said, this is a third-party company that sneezed out this very obscure, and it is actually metal.
Yeah, it's heavy.
A metal third-party controller for the Super Nintendo. Just totally bizarre design.
This could win the war of video games.
It could. It's the bomb. So
now you have this wireless Super Nintendo controller here in a lunchbox, no less.
So this was made by a retro company, Messiah, and they made the famous NEX, which was a Famiclone that was released at a Classic Gaming Expo in the mid-2000s. They also made wireless Super Nintendo controllers, and these controllers are pretty uncommon to find. They came packaged in a really cool lunchbox, and like I said, it's just something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, they have a kind of a weird, like a thumbstick thing.
Yeah, they have like kind of a Neo Geo CD style controller for the 10 people that know that, and like I said, not something I necessarily would play with, but it's definitely on the in the collection. Everybody's like, oh, what's that? It's controllers.
But when we were talking about this video, you got really excited about this next one, which is by Capcom.
Yeah.
It's an arcade stick.
Well, Capcom knows how to make some fighting sticks, and this is one of my favorite, and especially for the Super Nintendo. For any brawlers or fighters, I mean, hear that?
That's precision right there.
That's the sound of awesomeness. So that's what that is. And this is a very competitive and comparable arcade controller to the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo made their own arcade stick. I prefer this one. Like I said, and it had an adapter in the back in which you can actually use this for regular Nintendo as well.
Oh, really?
So it's actually the extra cable is pretty hard to get. But I have several of these controllers, and I love it. It's good stuff.
Wow. So that's our video, and we would love to know if there's controllers out there that you think are kind of interesting and weird. I'm sure there's more.
Oh yeah, there's a ton.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for doing these.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Well, thank you guys for watching my channel and subscribing. Take care.
Bye.